Today we are in the cab with Nathan Green, harvesting sugar beets. So Nathan, why don't you tell us about yourself and a little bit about your family's operation?
I live in St. Thomas, North Dakota. I'm a fourth generation sugar beet grower. We farm 1,000 acres of sugar beets here in the northern part of the Red River Valley. I farm with my father, and my sons are starting to help on the farm. Well, my great grandfather started growing sugar beets in 1928, and we have had sugar beets on this farm every year since. I started farming sugar beets in 1998. Currently, we are about 64% done with harvest. We started pre-pile in the middle of August, and the campaign, which is the continuous harvest of sugar beets, started on October 1st. We've had some heat shutdowns and some delays, but today's the 15th, so it's been a long haul. We got a few more days to go.
How do you know when you can start harvesting sugar beets, and when are the plants going? How do harvesters know when plants are open? Is there a certain temp that the ground has to be to start lifting? Can you explain a little more in detail about the actual process of lifting sugar beets?
Our climate here in northern North Dakota is pretty ideal for sugar beets because we process them all winter long. We put them in piles. This year, American Crystal is going to process around 13 million tons of sugar beets. They're really good about giving growers information. There's daily email updates, text updates. The website is handy to check.
Since we're in here, why don't we just talk about the piece of equipment we are in that you run, and then the other pieces of equipment that are needed to help with sugar beet harvest.
So the leaves on top of the sugar beet stay in the field. There's actually a bunch of nitrogen in them, and they go back into the soil and help with next year's crop. So first process of harvesting sugar beets would be removing the tops. We have a mechanical defoliator. It's got metal and rubber flails that will spin, that chop up the tops and lay them aside. And then the harvester, which we are currently in, it's got wheels that are slanted to, they're called lifter wheels because they lift the beets out of the ground. They go in the ground. As they turn, they pull the sugar beet out. And then it goes into the grab rolls where it jostles them around to knock the excess dirt off. And then in order to get them in a truck, it's got elevators to get them up high enough to dump them in the truck.
And how many truckers do you have to keep sugar beet harvest going for you guys?
So everybody's allotted a number of trucks that they can use. I'm allowed 6 trucks to run 24 hours. Currently, we run one big shift. We run about 15 hours a day with one crew.
And can anyone raise sugar beets just like corn and soybeans? Or I've heard of sugar beet stock. What exactly does that mean? And can you kind of explain a little more in detail about actually raising sugar beets versus corn and soybeans?
So the company that I grower owner in is American Crystal Sugar. It's a grower-owned cooperative, so you have to purchase shares to have the right to deliver sugar beets. Any farmer can grow sugar beets, but you can't deliver sugar beets unless you have shares.
What's the typical growing season for sugar beets, and what would you say are the biggest challenges within growing sugar beets?
So typically we like to start planting middle of May. The frost, the hold up there. Sugar beet seed is really small compared to how big a sugar beet ends up in fall, and so it's pretty fragile. They grow 2 cotyledons that are kind of like helicopter wings, and the wind can blow them and snap them off. We got to plant them fairly shallow, 1 3/4 depth, so they grow pretty rapidly, and once they get 6 to 8 leaves on them, they're pretty strong. And then throughout the year, there's different pests that we have to deal with. There's a sugar beet root maggot in my area that is particularly painful. It flies into the sugar beet fields and it lays its eggs next to the sugar beets. And when the maggots hatch, they go down and they start eating the hair roots. So we use pesticides, seed treatments in order to stop those. The next problem would be Cercospora. We get blows in on the wind and puts spots on the leaves, brown spots. It kills that leaf surface, so it doesn't have the chance to use photosynthesis to grow. So we have to apply fungicides. There are some technology. There's a CR Plus now that gives them some tolerance to the Cercospora.
What type of crop rotation do you have to keep the sugar beet soil healthy?
So I typically have 3 years in between 3 different crops in between sugar beets to try to spread out root diseases, and the longer you can spread it out, the better.
How do you handle weed control within sugar beets?
There's pre-emerge. There's some old chemistry that my grandfather used to use that we're starting to use again because of the Roundup resistant weeds.
What would be the biggest cost associated with sugar beets?
Oh, there's a lot of technology in our seed. They've done a very good job through research and breeding to give us really high quality seed, and with the high quality seed comes a pretty good price. Through the genetics of the seed, we've gotten to where we regularly get 30 tons of sugar beets to the acre. When I started, we would hope for a 20-ton crop, and now a 20-ton crop would be a giant disappointment.
Those that are watching can partially see some of the equipment are in. So what would you say are the biggest advancements in technology, even equipment, GPS systems, since you started raising sugar beets that have changed, that have made the biggest difference in harvesting, raising sugar beets?
Well, sugar beets are planted in rows, and you have to match the rows with the harvester. So the GPS allowing for us to have straight rows has really made it easier to harvest. When you operate the harvester, when the tractor drives itself straight, gives you more time to focus on the truck and the harvester and how the harvester is working behind you. The first harvester I ran was a 6-row harvester. Currently we've got a 12-row harvester, so it's twice as big. I would say the increased efficiency in the 12-row harvester to harvest beets quicker and fill trucks faster has really been helpful.
What type of labor force is required to lift sugar beets, and do you find the struggle to find good help and just help in general as one of your bigger struggles when it comes to harvesting?
That's a pretty giant issue. Labor and at harvest time is hard. We have four people that help during the year. We could have a harvest crew as big as 14 people. Currently we get by with 9 people. We just, like I said before, run one shift. But anybody listening that's close, we'll take all the help we can get. Any sugar beet farmer would love to have extra. There's a truck portal that you can find to help, but it takes. I got a mail carrier. I got a fuel truck guy. I got a guy that comes up from Arizona. He's come up for 22 years. Just does it. So all you need is a regular Class D driver's license to drive a semi. There's lots of training videos. American Crystal does a good job. We preach safety. We hope that nothing bad happens, and we try real hard to make sure people don't get too tired and that everybody is safe and gets to go home at the end of the day.
So that's a little shout out for Green Farms. If anybody would like to come harvest sugar beets, come on out and we'll find you a job. So going into sugar beet prices, how are prices looking right now, and what are the biggest factors that determine how the price fluctuates in the U.S.?
So since sugar is common table food, the USDA has a program that manages a adequate supply of sugar. So the last few years, they've had pretty decent sugar prices along with the other commodities. So this year, the price is trending down a bit. We do import sugar into the United States. I'd love to grow it all for you, but we are up against our processing limits at the factories.
So, what is your favorite part about raising sugar beets?
It's all of it. Seeing the progression of starting in the spring and harvest. Harvest is fun. When it goes well, it is fun. It is when everything works. It is pretty amazing. We move a lot of product in a very short amount of time. It's when you're with the crew and the good times, the just experiences that you have out here. Not everybody gets to drive a tractor, and so in the fall they come out, and the other guy that runs the rotobeater is a barber, and so he cuts hair and he lives for this. He says it's his deer hunting his experience. So I guess I don't have one specific favorite, but it's kind of like the whole experience.
And what advice would you give to upcoming new farmers, not necessarily just sugar beet farmers, but just farmers in general? Is there any advice you have for them that maybe you wish you would have known when you got started, or maybe things that have kind of clicked for you in the last couple years? Just maybe some words of encouragement that those that are just getting started. I know farming isn't easy, and there's long hours and there's lots of tough days. So anything that you want to share with our listeners to help them keep going?
Well, farming is, like you said, it's stressful, long hours. We can't control the weather, so I was told early on to make sure you get your work done. Get your work done first, and then you can go play. And the other thing is that I've learned just recently is just don't stress about it, because there's so many things you can't control that just kind of have to roll with it and just keep a good mindset and just keep going.
And then, of course, I have to ask this question. Consumers that are out there, what brand of sugar should they be buying?
Well, it doesn't matter. Sugar is sugar. Cane sugar and beet sugar, once you process it and get to the sugar, they're identically the same. So just get American-grown sugar. Personally, if you see the American Crystal sugar in the store, I would like you to buy that, but any sugar is good with me.